that was my first car. I wish I still had it. Oh yeah, I do. That was a 65 Mustang. My dad and I went car shopping. I paid $475 for it. Out of my 4-H money. Yeah, I'm not sure where it went. I traded it in for another car when I was a senior, I think. I was probably 15 when this was took. Because I bought it when I was 15 years old. I had a 69, it was the first Corvette I ever bought, and I don't know what happened to it. I was taking it to Benton, and the darn thing started on fire. And I should have drove it in Dungeon Lake, but I didn't. Anyway, it burned up.
Now, 30% off.
Here's my 70 Corvette, one of the pictures of it. Then I had an accident with that one. Just a few years back. I had it for 30-some years. Oh geez, I had a 69, I had a 70, I had an 84 and a 92. I think that's all I've had for Corvettes, yeah. This one is a 2017 C7. It's an automatic, so Julie can drive it. It has airbags, and it's a nice cruiser. 1970, I had it for 36 years. Or no, that wasn't the one. That was the one that I pulled out in front of somebody and ended up with a brain bleed. But the one was a 69 that caught fire. I bought that Corvette and I had it until about 5 years ago, and I had an accident with it. And anyway, it totaled it.
That wasn't a good deal. Because I just got home, because I went with his sister Linda up to the Amish. And I get home and I lost my phone, so I'm like trying to figure out how to go up to get a new phone, and I look out the driveway and here comes the Linn County Sheriff, and I'm like, boy, what's he here for? So I go out and meet him out in the garage, and he asked if I was Julie or Mrs. Kester, and I go, yeah, and he goes, well, I got well, first he goes, well, how's your day? And I'm like, okay, why? And then he goes, well, I got bad news. Your husband's been in a bad wreck. He has head injuries, and it doesn't look good. And so it was quite scary. He was very nice. He came in the house. He gave me his phone. I'm trying to find numbers to call my children, and nobody would answer. So our one daughter lived down at the farm, and she was a nurse, and I went down there, and then her and I went down to the hospital. And I walked in his room, and he goes, well, there you are, you're finally here. So he was okay. He had a brain bleed, and they had to transport him to Iowa City, but everything turned out okay.
Not much, but no bills. Dad got out of the service, and him and his brother Francis, they bought a farm over by Coggin. They had 120 acres together. And then Dad wanted to get on his own. He got married. Let's see, Dad got married in 1950 to my mom. And I wasn't born till 55. And anyway, in between time there, why him and his brother kind of separated, and his brother bought Dad out on that farm over there, and Dad bought this farm in 1960. And we moved over here. That was the first year. I was 5 years old and I started school here. My sister Linda was born yet then. And then Judy come along January 1st of 1960. He bought 320. That was the home farm. And we lived down there. That's where I grew up. Geez, let's see, punctual and regular attendance for 36 weeks. I went to school straight. May of 1965. After that, I think I got less because Dad had let me stay home and help him on the farm. Yeah, I started out good. 65, 66, I would have been 10 and 11. That's the old barn. I played, I really liked baseball. I played till I was in 8th grade, and I come home late from school. I used to ride my bike to school. I could make it to school in 20 minutes, 5 miles with my 1-speed bike. And that's when 150 wasn't very busy. And anyway, I come home late after school, and Dad says, "Where was you?" And I says, "Well, I stayed for baseball practice." He said, "That's not gonna happen." So I farmed, and I'm glad I did. But over the years, that was probably the hardest for me, watching the other kids go play ball. Sorry, but anyway, we got through that, and I'm glad Dad, you know, he stuck with me. And like I say, I wasn't always a perfect boy. I had my troubles, and Dad had some of his too, but we made it. And we always grew corn and beans and hay because we had cattle. And there was some pasture on this farm, which is all tillable now. But then I had another farm that I had pasture on. So we had about 50 cows at our main top part time. And we fed cattle, fed the calves out, and I bought a few more. I'd feed about 100 head of cattle a year. Down there we had a harvester and a silo down there. And we farmed here. And then I graduated in '73, and I bought my first farm. I got a young farmer's loan and bought my first farm in 1975. I was 20 years old. And that helped me quite a bit down the road because I had some equity. Dad, he told me, well, when the 80s come around, that was a bad time for farming, and I had bought that farm at the right price, and anyway, land went up double or better just in the 80s there, and that's when a lot of people went broke. But anyway, Dad says, maybe you should just sell that farm. And I says, well, what'd I do then? Because I wanted to farm. Oh, this stuff here. I was when I started, we used to have a finish house down to the farm down there, and Dad built that in '78 to keep me around the farm. So, young producer, it says. Then eventually I got out of hogs, and I didn't miss them. Yeah, we were buying feeder pigs towards the end, and I'd finish out about 1,000 to 1,200 head a year. So anyway, I lived over there on that farm I bought till '78. Yeah, Dad bought the acreage down there by Walker, and he moved off of this farm. So Dad was only here 18 years. And then I moved to the home place down there, and we built that hog building, and he thought he'd keep me on the farm with that, which he did, because I had to raise hogs. And I didn't care for that much, but anyway, then we had cattle, and then we had these 2 farms that we farmed, and then I started renting and buying more ground.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions about the soybeans before I ask you about the corn. The beans, you got all out pretty good. How'd the harvest go for that?
Real good. Had that good, hot, dry weather, and it couldn't have been better for harvesting beans. Real good.
Eventually, he sold me the farm, and things have progressed pretty well. We've been fortunate. Well, Dad started with horses when he was over by Coggin, and then he told. I remember him saying to me, he told me that he told his dad. He said, "I'm not going to farm if I got to farm with horses." He didn't care for the horses. So anyway, his dad bought an M farm all then, and then Dad ended up over here buying this place, and he had started with an 8-end Ford with a 2-bottom plow, and then things kind of progressed from there. I would buy bigger machinery because I'd be farming more and so forth and so on, and then till today when technology is a really big thing, you know, and that's actually when I kind of got out because Andy come in with me and he knew more about it, and things just progressed from there, and now fertilizer and everything's put on with technology, and they know exactly what needs to be put where and what each acre yields and everything now. So it's really progressed. Well, planting is here now, and then everything will be sprayed with chemicals for herbicide. And then there's insecticide that we spray. Andy will spray that with the Hagee also. And then there's another feeding of fertilizer probably in August. We put another some fertilizer in the row and go from there. But after that, it's pretty much done until harvest.
Ready to sail into the wind, heading west to find my reason, longing for something greater than this, and I'm right with anticipation. Yeah, I have a good feeling, staring at the starry ceiling, a dream in my heart. Yeah, this is just the start. My suitcase is packed and I'm wheeling. I'm on the move, out into the great wide open. Look out, world, here I come. Hoist up my sails and ride the wind. Climb to the top of a mountain, fly round the world over oceans, scrape out a living just for this feeling, alive and well, and I'm breathing. I'm on the move, out into the great wide open. Look out, world, here I come. Hoist up my sails and ride the wind.
Yeah, harvest, well, the boys will start when the corn's about 25% usually.
I'm on the move, out into the great wide open. Look out, world, here I come.
They'll start drying, and then like last fall, it dried down pretty good where they were taking it right out of the field and putting it in the bin or the town, one or the other. And things worked out well last year. You don't have to use as much gas, LP that is, and they go till they're done. Dad had this 320, and then I was 20 when I got a young farmer's loan and we bought the Smith place. It was 200 acres, about 2 miles away, and we farmed these two places. And eventually Dad kind of got out and I kept progressing, and And I bought another 80 over here in this section. And then I bought the 120 from Yerkes's on the west end of this section. And then eventually I bought the Coon 80 on the other end of this other 80 that I bought. And then just about 3-4 years ago, well, we bought the last 30 acres of this section that was tillable and put this whole section together. And things just kind of fit into place, and we kept going, and we've got some other ground that we bought, and hope that the girls can keep some of it together. Hopefully things will keep progressing. But the main thing, I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that I had good help. My dad and my uncle both, and my wife Julie. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I'm at. Yeah. So things have worked out, but there's been tough times too. So here we are.
Pray God, please help me live this day. Bring peace and joy, let these memories stay. And this I know, to love her always.
It was the best. I mean, everything that you would want in a childhood, what I would want for my kids, we had here.
Regardless of our gender and our abilities, like, we were expected to work hard.
It was just the best way to grow up. I feel so lucky.
Pray God, please help me live this day. Let beauty overwhelm me. Take my breath away. And when the years have gone, watching the setting sun, may these memories of her stay beautiful. Amen.
So I wrote something about growing up on the farm. So growing up with a stepdad, I wasn't always easy, but it shaped a lot of who I am today.
I would say every memory I have of my father and growing up on the farm embodies hard work.
Hard work.
Hard work.
Hard work.
We definitely had to do the chores. Getting up in the morning, having to go out and feed the cattle was a big one.
It's like holding the gates open.
We were always reminded that he was a farmer with no boys to farm. And that never stopped him from asking us to go do the hard work.
As young as I can remember filling buckets of feed for our cattle, really working hard, you know, far beyond my years, lifting these heavy buckets of feed so that my dad could carry them out to feed the cattle. I remember feeling very undersized for that responsibility, but knowing that my dad needed that and the responsibility was ours, whether it was 20 below or whether it was 95, it was our responsibility to get out there and feed those cattle for the welfare of our family and for Kester Farms. And so I remember that kind of innate responsibility of feeling empowered by that, and also this ability to grow up feeling as though I could accomplish anything.
And I am extremely grateful for that, because that's something I'm able to pass down to my children as well, even though it's in a different capacity.
Like, I remember walking down the basement stairs and my dad would be like bottle feeding a cow in the basement.
He was always working, but he was always willing, to stop what he was doing for a second to come out and let us ride in the tractor with him, or let him carry, a bucket of corn to go feed the cows.
He's the hardest worker I know. I always remember growing up hoping that I would marry someone similar to my dad.
And, our life wasn't always easy. We, my parents were divorced, Julie came in, there was step siblings, but we always had each other's back. And I think that's the most important lesson, is that you have your family and you take care of them with everything that you have.
Bill and I didn't always see eye to eye. I thought his rules were unfair, and I wasn't afraid to challenge them a lot. But as I got older, I began to understand what he was trying to teach me were the same things that he had learned from his parents, which was hard work, responsibility, appreciation for what you have. And to earn your way. So now I understand the lessons that he gave me were never just about chores or rules. They were about life. Looking back, I'm grateful that he didn't have to be there, but he was, and he still is.
I don't want to cry. I would just want him to know that I love him, and that he was the best dad I could have ever asked for. And he still is, and I look forward to many, many, many years of him being my dad and, my kids' grandparent. And I just love him, and I hope that he knows it.
I feel so lucky to have the relationship I do with my family, which that then helped me envision what I wanted for my future. And here is home. Here is, when people ask me where I'm from, this is exactly what I think of. I think of my dad out by these bins or with the cows, or I think of him yelling at me to open up the gate or picking up rocks in the field. I think of my sisters and I running barefoot on the gravel out here.
As a family, we always get together every July for, we call it Kester weekend. There's always like a bouncy house. The kids are on the slip and slide, playing in the pond. So that's always a fun thing to look forward to.
This is going to make me cry, because there's so many things that I love about my dad. The commitment to family, his ability to bring us together. I feel like with my family, that's something that I strive to do.
It's really funny. My sister Kim and I have talked about this, because we both now, finally, after lots of, moving and living in town and neighborhoods, we both now live in the country. And we both live in white houses with black trim, just like we grew up in. And it's just like that call to home. It was so wonderful. That's what we want for our families. And luckily we have great husbands that go along with these ideas.
Dad and Julie did a really great job at being present at all of our activities.
Yeah, we tried.
And having 6 kids, that's hard to do. I have 4 kids now, and I don't know how you did it with all 6 of us.
Yeah.
We didn't have all that extra. You kids weren't in a lot of that extra stuff.
Extra stuff, yeah.
Still.
Well, I had an Uncle Bob. It was my mom's brother. And he had a son that passed away young. And so he took me under his wing too. So I was lucky to have 2 mentors. And they both farmed. And he'd always give me a bad time about my girls playing sports. And And he complained about paying property taxes, and I say, well, at least some of that property tax is going for my girls to play ball.
I remember him coming into the office one day.
Yeah.
He said that they need to throw the damn basketballs and all the sports out the window. Shouldn't have to pay for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was before I knew Uncle Bob.
Or whenever I had to leave early for a ball game or something, and he'd give me a bad time, says, you need to be here farming, and he was hard on me, but I went anyway.
All of them have little pieces that remind me of home. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for their relationship with my dad and stepmom. I'm grateful to have them close so that they get to have a life like I did with my grandparents.
Should we start out with Mindy?
Yeah, I suppose she's the oldest.
Yes,
yeah.
she's the oldest.
Mindy is my first wife's daughter, and I helped raise her. And she was out of the house when Julie came, so she doesn't really know her real well. And she has two daughters, Mackenzie and Lexi.
And the grandson.
And
Brady.
she has a grandson, yeah, a great grandson, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm an empty nester, which is really weird. So first and foremost, I think I need to apologize to my parents and my dad for all the stuff that I've ever done.
And then we have Kimberly.
Yep.
That would be Bill's oldest daughter with Gail. And Kim was our athlete. And she went on to UNI and played all 4 years at UNI volleyball and got her degree in education.
Sorry. I'm emotional like my father too. Love hard, big emotions, get over them quick. But when I was a kid, 13, 14, my dad and I would always race from chores to the house. And it was always a goal of mine to be able to beat him. And I still remember the day beating him on the grass. And I remember him looking at me and saying, what do you want to do with your life? And I said, I want to get a full ride college scholarship. And he looked at me and he said, you get a full ride college scholarship to play sports and I'll buy you a Mustang convertible. He's a big car guy, of course, and I wanted a Mustang convertible, blue, cobalt. But he looked at me and said, you get a scholarship and I'll give you that car. I'll buy you that car. Well, I got the scholarship, college came around. He had to pay taxes on the scholarship. I never got the car. But my husband and I struggled with infertility, and we decided that adoption was the path for us. And my dad was the first one there that said, this could be your Mustang. And he contributed financially to allow us to adopt our daughter, Kaden, who is an incredible young lady. But it didn't stop there. He also contributed to supporting our son, Kyle. And we're just so grateful for the opportunity to have two amazing kids, to be able to share his work ethic, all the values that he instilled in us, and the lifestyle, that we get to live and enjoy.
And then
Going fast.
we have Carissa.
She's out that way too, by Des Moines.
She'd be our Bill's middle child. I don't know if she ever liked being the middle child, but
Anyway.
she has a heart of gold. And she went to UNI and got her degree in social work. And she's very family orientated.
Raises their 3 kids.
They have Sam that is 14 and Isla that's 11 and Emmy that's 9.
Yes, so my husband, Joe, we've been married for almost 19 years. my dad is just this little guy, and my husband is this huge, big 6'6" guy, and Joe is scared to death of my dad. In all the ways that you should be, of just a father of 6 girls.
Then we have Lindsay, Bill's youngest.
She's in Robbins. And her and Chad have 4 kids, 1 girl and 3 boys.
Linnea is 14 and Brody is 12. In Boston, 7, and our little Brookster's 5.
Yep.
She's very family orientated. They're very busy. They're on the go a lot.
I hope that when my dad watches this video, he's as proud of himself as we are. My dad can be hard on himself sometimes. He doesn't take the credit where credit is due. And I think sometimes he regrets feeling like he was working constantly, but those were things that he taught us were a priority. And although he might have been working, we were right there with him. You know, my favorite memories with my dad were sitting in the cab of the tractor with him. You know, I might have fallen asleep on his lap, or we might be sitting there talking about anything. Or seeing my kids ride along with him as they came into the picture. He just truly showed us what was important, and I hope that at the end of the day, he can be so proud of that.
And there's Leisha.
Yep.
Leisha May.
She would be my oldest. And she has a heart of gold too.
Yeah.
We're pretty fortunate. All the kids have pretty big hearts. She has 2 boys, Carter that's 12 and JJ that's 7. And JJ's real name is Julian, which I was joking with her once about naming him Julian after me, and then they go, we love the name.
Yeah.
So
JJ is actually named after my mom, and he's almost 9 and is definitely a people person. Not sure where he gets it from, because I'm not that way.
And she works in town, and actually she's working in the office that I retired from.
Yeah.
I am very similar to my mom in a lot of aspects. I mean, my mom is very similar to like my best friend. I confide in her in a lot of things. Where I'm at with my job, she's the one that hired me on, and I've now been there for almost 15 years, and I know I wouldn't be who I am without her, without really either one of them.
And then we have our youngest, Lindsay, my Lindsay.
Lou.
And yeah, we call her
Lou.
Lou. All the babysitters used to call her Lou LaBelle or Lou.
Yeah, Lou LaBelle.
So his youngest is spelled Lindsay, and my youngest is Lindsey. She went to school to be a nurse. She's an RN, and she is currently a traveling nurse. She likes to do the traveling nurse. They just got married this last August.
August, yeah.
Out in Washington State on Ruby Beach. And some of us made the trek. So she has a husband, Wade.
They just moved out by Boone, bought an acreage out there.
I just really appreciate my dad and my mom both working very hard to give us this amazing life that we grew up on the farm, and just very appreciative of all of our time that we got to spend here.
Mainly just remember how hard Grandpa and I worked for this farm to get it all together. And keep it as long as we have. And I hope you guys can too.
time. It's only time between us, only time. Eternal love is timeless, long and hearts divided, soon to be united. Time, it's only time. The skin and bones, it's only skin and bones. The skin and bones, it's only skin and bones. On lone unknowns are only mysteries to be sown together. Nothing's owned, it's only skin and bones.
My neighbor Richard Yerkes at the other end of this section here, he talked me into taking his place. And so I was trustee. Matter of fact, this is the first year I bowed off the election, which comes in November. And I got a friend of mine to take it over because we're gone in the winter time. And so anyway, I was a trustee for probably about 32 years probably. Dad liked livestock. He liked hogs and cattle. That's why I showed cattle. And I still miss my cattle. I had 50 stock cows at one time. And Julie and I bought our first farm together in '97. We got married in 1996 and we bought the Huffman 80, which bordered this farm here in 1997. And in the meantime, while Dad and Mom had started selling me the home farm, which is this farm, on contract. Then in '98, we bought the Yerkes ground, which would be the west 120 on this section. And then we just kept going, and we bought other ground. We bought Hutton's in 2012, and we bought the Coon 80, which would be the rest of this, or part of this section too, in 2014. And then we bought the rest of this section, except the building site over there. The Yerkes 32 acres was left over there. We bought that in '22. And in the meantime, we bought another farm in 2016, 2018. And I guess the best part of it is our last payment on our last farm is February 1st of '25. So we'll have our land paid for then, unless we buy some more. Not everybody in Iowa has a section they can call their own. But
mile-long rows.
Yeah, mile-long rows.
What's your and Julie's hope for that section?
Yeah, we'd like to keep that in the family. The rest, I don't care, they can sell. Yeah. But anyway, that's my thought, our thought. So we'll see, or they'll see what happens. But we made it, but I can't complain nowadays, so that's worked out.